For the past 7 years, I have been quietly tracking grocery chain logistics, talking to warehouse managers, and watching what gets pulled from distribution lists before anyone notices. While everyone is panic buying the same rotation of canned goods and bottled water, I have been documenting the items that disappear without headlines. Number 9 on this list is sitting at your local grocery store right now for under $4. And after March 2026, you are not going to see it again for months, maybe years. The problem is that when everyone reads the same prep blogs and watches the same channels, they create predictable run patterns. Back in early 2020, I watched toilet paper vanish in 2 hours. But industrial rice? Still fully stocked 3 days later because nobody was thinking past their shopping list. What I'm about to show you are 12 grocery items that major chains are pulling from shelves this year, with final shipments happening in March. These are not rumors. These are based on actual supplier contracts ending, distribution changes, and margin cuts that stores have already announced. And if you want to stay ahead instead of scrambling when everyone else figures it out, hit that subscribe button right now, because this kind of information does not stay quiet for long. Let me show you what is leaving and why nobody is talking about it yet. Number 1 is going to surprise you because it sounds so basic. Coconut cream in the can, not coconut milk, not the cartons in the dairy section. The thick, full-fat coconut cream that comes in 14-ounce cans. Here's what nobody talks about. 3 major grocery chains, including a nationwide distributor I cannot name but you definitely shop at, are cutting their coconut cream SKUs by 60% in Q2 of 2026. March is the last big shipment. Why? Margin pressure. Coconut cream costs more to ship, sells slower than coconut milk, and takes up cold storage space even though it is shelf-stable. The buyers decided it is not worth the real estate. Now, here is the insight. Coconut cream is one of the only plant-based fats that stays stable for years and does not need refrigeration until opened. Last summer, during a power outage that lasted 4 days, and I used coconut cream to make everything from soups to sauces because it adds fat and thickness without needing butter or dairy. Your body needs fat, not wants, needs. And when supply chains tighten, fats disappear faster than carbs. Here is what I do. I buy 6 cans at a time, rotate them through my pantry, and use one every few weeks in curries, coffee, or even scrambled eggs. A single can costs $2.79 at most stores right now. Meanwhile, people are spending $40 on freeze-dried meal kits that taste like cardboard and have a fraction of the calorie density. Most preppers have never even thought about stocking coconut cream, which means it is always available. Until March. After that, you are going to see half-empty shelves and price hikes on what is left. Look, grocery prices are climbing faster than most families can track, and the items disappearing are not always the ones making headlines. And I have done the homework for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 20 items you need to keep stocked, all available at any major grocery chain. It can feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks and costs less than a single takeout order. You can grab it for free at the link in the description, so you can stop guessing and start actually preparing. Number 2 sounds boring, but it is absolute gold. Canned mackerel. Not tuna, not salmon, mackerel. Here is why this matters. 2 large grocery chains have already told their seafood suppliers they are cutting mackerel orders by 70% starting April 2026. The last restocks happen in March. The reason? Mackerel does not move fast enough compared to tuna, and shelf space is expensive. But here's what those buyers are missing. Mackerel has more omega-3s than salmon, more protein per ounce than tuna, and costs a third of the price. A 4-ounce can runs about $1.50. I opened a can that was 3 years old last month. Tasted perfect. No off flavor, no weird texture, just pure protein and fat. During the freeze of early 2021, I watched my neighbor trade 2 cans of tuna for a pack of batteries. Nobody wanted the mackerel I had because they did not know what it was. That is the advantage. Food monotony is real. When you are eating the same rotation of beans and rice, your brain starts to shut down. You need variety to stay sharp. Mackerel gives you that. And here is the simplest prep. Drain the can, mash it with a fork, mix in hot sauce and crackers. 3-minute meal, over 30 grams of protein, shelf stable for years. Stock up now while it is still on shelves. After March, you are going to see gaps where it used to sit. Number 3 is something I never expected to see pulled, but here we are. Canned artichoke hearts. Specifically the store brand versions in brine, not marinated. Here is what happened. As a West Coast distribution manager I know told me in January that 3 major chains are discontinuing their private label artichoke hearts entirely by spring 2026. Why? Low turnover, high import costs, and the shelf space gets reassigned to higher margin items like olives and peppers. Final shipments are hitting warehouses right now. This one surprised me because artichokes are nutrient-dense, low-calorie, high-fiber, and almost nobody stocks them for emergencies. Last year, during a bout of food fatigue, I tossed a can of artichoke hearts into pasta with olive oil and garlic. It completely changed the meal. Your brain craves different textures and flavors under stress. Boring food makes you stupid when you need to be smart most. A 14-ounce can cost $2.40 on average. That is cheaper than a single energy bar. Here's the move. Buy them now, keep them in rotation, and use them in salads, pastas, or straight out of the can with salt and lemon. After March, the only options left will be the expensive marinated jars at $6 each. And those have added sugar and shorter shelf lives. Most people have no idea this is even happening, which means you can still walk into your local store today and grab 4 or 5 cans without anyone noticing. Number 4 is going to sound strange, but stay with me. Evaporated milk in the 12-ounce cans, not condensed milk, not shelf-stable cartons. It's the old-school evaporated milk in the short cans with the orange label. 2 national chains are cutting their evaporated milk orders by over 50% by mid-2026, with March being the final bulk shipment. The reason is simple. Oat milk and almond milk are taking over shelf space, and evaporated milk does not move fast enough to justify the logistics cost. Here is the insight nobody is talking about. Evaporated milk has double the protein of regular milk, lasts for years unopened, does not need refrigeration, and can replace cream, milk, or even butter in most recipes. 3 years ago, during a winter storm, my power was out for 6 days. I used evaporated milk in my coffee, in soups, and even whipped it into mashed potatoes. It saved me from driving on icy roads to restock dairy. A single can costs $1.69 at most grocery stores. Compare that to the $7 shelf-stable milk cartons that taste like cardboard and last half as long. And here is what I do. I keep 8 cans in my pantry at all times, rotate through them every few months, and use them in anything that calls for milk or cream. The texture is thicker, the fat content is higher, and your body absorbs it better than the watered-down alternatives. Most preppers ignore evaporated milk because it feels old-fashioned. That is exactly why it is still in stock. But after March, you are going to see those shelves shrink fast. Number 5 is something I have been watching for 2 years, and it is finally happening. Canned pumpkin. Pure pumpkin, not pie filling. Here is what is going on. 4 major grocery chains are cutting their year-round pumpkin stock entirely and switching to seasonal-only availability starting in 2026. March shipments are the last chance to grab it before it disappears until October. The reason? Pumpkin only spikes in sales from September to November, and keeping it stocked all year is not profitable anymore. But here is what those chains are missing. Canned pumpkin is one of the most versatile, nutrient-packed, shelf-stable foods you can stock. It has more beta-carotene than carrots, more fiber than oatmeal, and lasts indefinitely in the can. Last spring, I used canned pumpkin to make pancakes, soups, smoothies, and even dog food when I ran out. It is bland enough to go savory or sweet, and it stretches meals without altering flavor. A 15-ounce can costs $1.29. That is cheaper than a single apple. Here is the play. Stock up now while it is available in every store. After March, you will only find it in the fall, and when everyone panic buys it in October like they do every year, it will vanish within days. Most people think pumpkin is just for pies. That is the blind spot. You can mix it into oatmeal, stir it into chili, blend it into sauces, or bake it into bread. As the fact that nobody is stocking it year-round is exactly why you should. Number 6 is one I stumbled on by accident, and now I will not shut up about it. Canned coconut milk, but specifically the full-fat versions from Thai or Vietnamese brands. Not the light versions, not the cartons. Here is what is happening. 2 national grocery chains are cutting their Thai coconut milk inventory by 40% in 2026 due to import cost increases and tariff shifts. At March is the final large shipment before they switch to cheaper domestic brands that have half the fat content and twice the additives. I found this out from a guy who has been managing food imports for 18 years. He told me the Thai suppliers are losing their contracts because the profit margin is too thin. Here is why this matters. Full-fat coconut milk from Thai brands has 14 to 17 grams of fat per serving. The domestic versions have 6 to 8. Fat is survival currency. Your brain runs on it. Your cells need it. And in a real shortage, fat is what disappears first. A 13-ounce can of Thai coconut milk costs $1.99 at most Asian grocery stores and about $2.50 at mainstream chains. I have cans in my pantry from 4 years ago. I opened one last week to test it. Perfect. No separation, no weird taste, just thick, creamy fat. Here is what I do. I buy 10 cans at a time, rotate them every 6 months, and use them in coffee, soups, curries, or even scrambled eggs. Most preppers have never even walked down the international aisle, which is insane because that is where the real value sits. After March, you are going to see those shelves cut in half, and the brands that remain will be the watered-down garbage that does not deliver what your body actually needs. Number 7 is sitting at your local grocery store right now for under $3, and I promise you nobody is paying attention to it. Canned chickpeas. Not dried chickpeas. Canned. Here is what is happening behind the scenes. 3 large grocery chains are consolidating their canned bean SKUs and cutting chickpeas entirely by late spring 2026. The final shipments hit in March. The reason is shelf space optimization. Chickpeas sell slower than black beans and kidney beans, so they are getting cut to make room for higher turn items. But here is the part that blows my mind. Chickpeas have more protein per serving than most beans, more fiber than lentils, and you can eat them cold, straight out of the can. Last winter, during a power outage, I drained a can of chickpeas, tossed them with olive oil and salt, and ate them like popcorn. 15 grams of protein, 0 prep, no heat required. A 15-ounce can costs 99 cents on sale, usually $1.49 regular price. Compare that to a protein bar at $3 that has half the protein and 20 ingredients you cannot pronounce. Here's what I do, and I keep 12 cans rotated through my pantry, use them in salads, blend them into hummus, or roast them in the oven when I have power. The fact that chickpeas are being cut while kidney beans stay is proof that most people do not know what they are looking at. After March, your options are going to shrink to the expensive organic brands at $4 a can, or nothing at all. Number 8 is one that I only figured out after talking to someone who works in grocery procurement. Jarred roasted red peppers. Not fresh, not frozen. The jarred ones in the international aisle. Here is the situation. 2 major chains are discontinuing their store brand roasted red peppers by Q2/2026 due to glass jar costs and low sales velocity. March is the cutoff for the last big orders. Why does this matter? Jarred roasted red peppers are one of the few vegetables that actually taste better from a jar than fresh. They are packed in their own juices, last for years, and add massive flavor to boring meals. During a tight month last year, when I was rotating through pantry stock, I blended a jar of roasted red peppers with canned tomatoes and made a soup that tasted like I spent an hour cooking. Total time? 4 minutes. A 12-ounce jar costs $2.69. That is less than a single bell pepper at the store, and you do not have to roast it yourself. Here is the play. Stock up now while the store brands are still available. After March, the only options will be the boutique brands at $7 to $9 per jar, and those are half the size. Most people walk right past these in the store because they do not know how to use them. That is the edge. You can toss them into pasta, blend them into dips, chop them into scrambled eggs, or eat them straight with crackers. When food fatigue hits and everything tastes the same, roasted red peppers will snap you out of it. Number 9 is the one I have been waiting to tell you about. And canned sardines in olive oil. Not water. Not tomato sauce. Olive oil. Here's what is going on. A logistics shift in European imports is causing 3 major grocery chains to cut their sardine orders by over 60% starting in April 2026. March is the last bulk delivery window. The reason is a combination of import cost increases and low consumer demand. But here is the truth that nobody talks about. Sardines are the single best source of omega-3s, calcium, and vitamin D you can buy for under $2. A single tin has more bioavailable nutrition than most multivitamins. I know this sounds weird. Stay with me. 2 years ago, I started eating sardines twice a week just to test the shelf life and nutritional claims. Within a month, I felt sharper, slept better, and had more energy. I opened a tin from 5 years ago last month, still perfect. The olive oil preserves everything. A standard tin costs $1.79 at most stores. And compare that to the $12 salmon fillets that spoil in 2 days, or the freeze-dried fish packets at $30 that taste like dust. Here's what I do. I keep 20 tins in rotation, eat them on crackers with hot sauce, or mash them into rice. Most people are disgusted by sardines because they have never tried the good ones. That is the advantage. While everyone fights over tuna, sardines sit fully stocked on the bottom shelf. After March, that is going to change fast. Number 10 is something I did not expect to see pulled, but the writing is on the wall. Canned green chilies. The 4-ounce cans of diced green chilies that you find near the tomato sauce. Here is what is happening. 2 large grocery chains are cutting their store brand green chili, SKUs, by spring 2026 to make room for salsa and higher turn items. Final orders go out in March. The reason is simple. Green chilies do not move fast enough and the margin is too low to justify the shelf space. But here is the insight. Canned green chilies add flavor, heat, and vitamins to any meal without needing fresh produce. Last fall, I was rotating through pantry stock and made scrambled eggs with a tablespoon of green chilies. It completely transformed the meal. A 4-ounce can costs 89 cents. That is cheaper than a single jalapeno, and it lasts for years. Here is the move. Buy a dozen cans now while they are still on shelves. After March, you will only find the name brand versions at $2.50 each, or you will have to go to specialty stores. Most people ignore canned green chilies because they do not think about flavor when they prep. That is a mistake. Bland food kills morale. Morale matters when everything else is falling apart. Toss green chilies into soups, stews, rice, beans, eggs, or pasta. They do not need heat, they do not spoil, and they take up almost no space. Number 11 is one I have been tracking for months, and it is finally confirmed. Canned white beans. Not black beans, not pinto beans, white beans like cannellini, Great Northern, or navy beans. Here is what is going on. 3 grocery chains are cutting their white bean inventory by 50% in 2026 because black beans and pinto beans outsell them by a huge margin. March is the last large shipment before the SKU cuts hit. The reason is pure math. White beans sit on shelves longer, which ties up capital and space. But here is the part that matters. White beans are creamier, milder, and more versatile than any other bean. You can blend them into soups, mash them into dips, or eat them cold in salads. Last spring, I blended a can of white beans with garlic and olive oil and made a spread that lasted me a week. Total cost? $1.19. A single can has 14 grams of protein and 11 grams of fiber. That is more filling than most meals people eat for $10. Here's what I do. I keep 15 cans rotated through my pantry and use them in everything. Most preppers stock black beans and pinto beans because that is what every prep list says to buy. That is exactly why white beans are always available. After March, you are going to see those shelves shrink, and the only options left will be the organic brands at $3.50 a can. Number 12 is the one that shocked me most because it is such a staple. Canned tomato paste in the 6-ounce cans. Not tomato sauce, not diced tomatoes, tomato paste. Here is what is happening. 2 national grocery chains are cutting their store brand tomato paste SKUs by April 2026 and switching to larger formats only. March is the final shipment of the small 6-ounce cans. The reason is packaging cost. Small cans cost more to produce per ounce, and the chains have decided they are not worth the margin. But here's the insight. Tomato paste is the most concentrated, longest-lasting, and versatile tomato product you can stock. A single tablespoon turns a pot of rice into a meal. A 6-ounce can lasts for weeks in the fridge after opening, or you can freeze it in ice cube trays and use it 1 tablespoon at a time. I have used tomato paste to make soups, sauces, stews, and even pizza sauce. A 6-ounce can costs 79 cents. That is cheaper than a single tomato, and it does not rot. Here's the play. Stock up on the 6-ounce cans now before they disappear. After March, your only option will be the 12-ounce or 28-ounce cans, which are harder to store and harder to use without waste. Most people buy tomato sauce or diced tomatoes because they do not know how to use paste. That is the blind spot. Tomato paste is pure flavor concentrate. You control the water, you control the consistency, and you never waste a drop. While everyone else is scrambling to buy the same rotation of canned goods and bottled water. You now know 12 items that are quietly leaving grocery shelves with final shipments happening in March 2026. These are not guesses. These are real distribution cuts, confirmed by people inside the supply chain, and most shoppers will not notice until the shelves are already empty. Drop a comment and tell me which of these you are stocking up on first, because I want to know what you are prioritizing. Next week, I am revealing the 7 grocery staples that everyone thinks are essential but are actually a complete waste of money and space in a real shortage. You do not want to miss that one. Until then, get to your store, grab what you can while it is still there, and stay ahead of the crowd.